boy, guys, I'm here. And it is yet another episode. The second solo episode I will add of Art of the Jam. This is episode number 110. And before we get into it today, guys, I do want to go ahead and do my preliminary subscribe. We here at Art of the Jam, I would like to just go ahead and start with I have a goal. I have a goal of 333 subscribers. So by the end of the year, I might add. I should have added the time frame there. But so if you are a viewer of the show and you are not yet subscribed, please, if you feel so inclined, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, thank you. But if and tell your friends, be kind, and if you like the show, let them in on the whole. Let your friends in on the whole Art of the Jam thing, right? But guys, in the tradition of Art of the Jam, episode 109, holy shit. But in the tradition of Art of the Jam, I do have a question for you, audience, and today's question isn't really a heavy one, but I guess you could say, I'll just get into it, but what is a piece of your art, an aspect of your art, that you had to sacrifice in order to, for the sake of entertainment, to please others? What I mean is there something that you do that you don't necessarily enjoy about your art, but other people enjoy it, and you had to sacrifice that feeling of yours in order to please others, to meet in the middle, I guess. So, let me repeat. What is an aspect of your art that you had to sacrifice for the sake of others' entertainment? That being said, cue the intro. We are back from the intro, guys. So, my question to you guys was, what is a piece of your art or an aspect of your art that you had to sacrifice in order to please or entertain others? The reason I ask is because I've kind of been myself struggling with certain things, like well, let me begin with, there was an interview I watched recently with Les Claypool of Primus and his many projects, and which brings me to album of the week. It is the Claypool Lennon Delirium, South of Reality. This is an amazing album. It's I got lucky enough to see them at Beale Street in Memphis for the Memphis in May festival, and I had no idea who it was. Whenever you buy tickets, you get added to their email chain or their newsletter, I guess, and whenever a band drops out or they add a new band to the lineup, they'll email you and basically inform you as to who or to who or what band is filling the spot or is leaving or you know, blah 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 blah. And I only knew the name Claypool from Primus, and Lennon obviously from John Lennon from the Beatles. And I wasn't sure whenever I seen the name Claypool Lennon Delirium, when I got it in a newsletter, and it was like they were tacking them on to the festival that I was already going to, and I knew nothing about them. And I looked it up because I was curious. I was like, what is this band that I'm about to run into? And it was Claypool Lennon Delirium. It happened to be exactly what I thought it was. It's Les Claypool and John Lennon's son, Sean Lennon, which is kind of funny that you would name your kid Sean, being Sean Lennon. Which he's just the perfect amalgam of the perfect little mixture, a little stew of Yoko and John Lennon. He looks exactly like both of them, and it's kind of crazy. But South of Reality, it's an amazing song. It's an amazing album, and yeah, I got to see them in Beale Street, and honestly, every song on here. I'll read the track listing here. So it's Little Fishes, Blood and Rockets Movement 1 and 2, South of Reality, Barishka, Easily Charmed by Fools, Amethyst Realm, Toady Man's Hour, Cricket Chronicles Revisited, Part 1 and 2, and Like Fleas. And I can't really pick one of them that isn't good. And they're also like it's so perfectly like every song is about like a real thing, and it's so perfect. Like I identify with it so well just because it's taking like a serious concept and just making not a mockery of it, but like making it silly. So it's like the song is like silly and fun and groovy and psychedelic as all fucking get out, but then you actually like read the lyrics or pay attention to the lyrics, and you're like, wow, this is a tad fucked up, I think. But like Little Fishes is pretty much about Mercury going crazy from the mercury in the fish, which is crazy. Blood and Rockets is about Jack Parsons, who apparently was some sort of rocket genius, but also a like occultist, that like Aleister Crowley shit. He was I don't know enough about Jack Parsons to say, so don't take anything I say like it's factual. But yeah, Jack Parsons, he helped us get to the moon. And that brings me to another point, right? So I know I'm getting a little off track here, but we'll go on like a little side quest here for a second. I say Jack Parsons was an occultist who helped us get to the moon, and that's wild enough. But what's wild is I've been seeing online multiple people. AJ Gentile. I don't know how exactly you pronounce his name, but he's from the Y-Files. And he's not the only one talking about it, but there's just been so much lately about the moon landing and how we apparently lost the technology to get us to the moon, so that's why we haven't been to the moon since 1969. And then there was a dude that was... Oh, dude, that has nothing to do with it, actually, now that I think about it. It's just fun. But the whole Jolly West thing, being a picture of Jolly West being on the set of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I guess that does have something to do with it, because they say that Stanley Kubrick was the one who directed and created the moon landing footage. I'm not saying that we didn't go to the moon, or did or didn't. I just really don't care, because it really doesn't affect my life any other way. Like, what does it mean that... What is it? I'm still gonna fucking put my pants on, and sometimes in the morning, one leg sleeve at a time, and whether we went to the moon or not, is what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't really affect my life. But, form your own opinion, I guess. But the moon, the whole Jolly, and I don't even want to get in the Jolly West thing, but this guy is basically from the Y-Files, was talking about how we lost all the research, we lost all of the technology, so we can't recreate our technology that took us to the moon, so we can't go to the moon. So now, holy shit, I'm forming, see, this is a big brain jam here now. If Jack Parsons, if he was an occultist who helped us get to the moon, and we don't have the technology to get to the moon, maybe it wasn't technology, maybe he was using some fucking crazy ass occult magic to get us to the moon. Maybe he had some kind of like naked spell that he used to cast on some big dick rocket, and he flew us to the moon or some shit, or maybe he, you don't know, we don't know. Maybe he like blood and rockets. Maybe he sacrificed a goat, or sacrificed a young human to get us to the moon. I don't know. What if he did something like that? Maybe he did some Aleister Crowley, like some like butt sex magic or something. I don't know what he does. I don't know what they do. I just know that Aleister Crowley used to do some weird butt stuff in the name of occult magic and whatnot. But maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's how we got to the moon. Maybe we didn't. Maybe it wasn't technology. Maybe it was just a bunch of dudes butt fucking each other to get to space. Butt fucking for space, I don't know. But anyways, and so that's Blood and Rockets. South Reality. That track is about the whenever we had the the path of totality, the crazy eclipse we had back in 2016, 2017, something like that. And that was pretty crazy. Yeah, so I just stared straight into it with no glasses, and no, I'm just kidding. Oh, that was stupid. Why did I say that? Anyways, and then Easily Charmed by Fools is rather weird song. Go ahead and listen to it. Amethyst Realm, that's the one that I was getting at. Amethyst Realm is a true story. So is Barishka. I'm pretty sure Barishka is something about a Russian kid that had other lives, or lived other lives. I'm not sure. I can't remember what that one was. What the actual story. I'm not talking about the song, but the song is based obviously on the real story. But Amethyst Realm was I think she was there's an actual girl named Amethyst Realm who had sex with a ghost or some shit. She had what they call a phantgasm, and I thought that was pretty crazy. But a phantgasm, there's a lyric in there where he actually says the word phantgasm, and so that's pretty fucking funny to me. Then the Cricket Chronicles Revisited. That's from the first album, which I actually had on the show. I didn't do any crazy explanation for it, but it was on the Jeremy Levi Sharpless episode, because I was talking about Carl Thompson basses. Another cool thing about Les Claypool that I didn't realize is that when Carl Thompson, or I forgot what, Dan Maloney or something like that, the other guy that there's two guys that make his basses for him, but he'll send him a prototype, and then he'll since he's a carpenter himself, he'll sand them and shape them to where he likes them and how they're well balanced and how they feel, and then he'll send it back and they'll make a real one. And that's kind of cool. Wish we all, if we all had the resources to do so, that would be wicked. But my point originally was the question about sacrificing a part of yourself for the sake of entertainment. In the last solo episode, I mentioned how, I have given myself to you, and I feel like in a lot of ways you sacrifice all of you for the sake of entertainment or for the sake of your art. Um, in a lot of ways, but what I'm meaning necessarily is about the technicalities of it. Like, if people enjoy your energy, and say you're jumping around and doing the splits or something, or doing something fucking wild, and people are digging it. People enjoy your onstage energy, but you're missing a note here for the sake of this little dance move, or you're flubbing a chord, or missing a cue here because you're doing this or that or what have you. And it's like things like that, and it's like, and I don't really know the equivalent of like an artist, other than like, oh, you want to paint these extravagant fucking hyper realistic images of famous people, or you want to do these hyper realistic landscape paintings or whatnot, or you want to do these like weird straight from your consciousness dilly dallies, like dolly type of shit where it's like psychedelic and weird and impressionism or something like that. But people are only buying your fucking paint pours, or buying your it's like the dude that tapes the fucking banana to the wall. It's like, what is that about? But what I mean is, Claypool had this quote, and he was basically talking about, that's where I got the idea for this, okay? So Claypool was talking about he sacrificed his playing just to jump around or jump across stage and do this or that. And it's like, he doesn't do that. He was talking basically about how he doesn't do that anymore because he's sacrificing his ability to play. Like, there might be a riff that he really wants to land, but it's at a really high point in the show or in the song, and so he's like, oh, I gotta jump over here, I gotta do this, I gotta fucking move around. But then he basically realized that people want to see you play your instrument. They want to see you take chances and just see you play. Like, I feel like if this is another thing I'm trying to understand too, is it's like, is it when people say that they enjoy your energy, your onstage energy, or your charisma or whatever it might be, is it just your vibe and the energy you put off, or is it your physical energy that you're exuding? Like, are people enjoying the jumping around and the screaming and the blah 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 blah, or are they just enjoying the energy and the vibe of the music that's being played? Because I will be completely candid, the reason that this struck such a chord, no pun intended, with me is because if you've ever seen a show, a Phantom Sam show, I might add, or to clarify, Space Camp's jiving, I'm jumping around, I'm dancing, blah 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 blah. But I realize, like, as time goes on, it's like I'm doing what Les Claypool is talking about. There's times where I'm like, man, why didn't I fucking I'll get so frustrated with myself after a show because I'm like, man, that fucking part where I wanted to land that riff, I didn't land that riff. I'm pissed off at myself. This is fucking annoying. I can't stand it. It's like, and then another time I'll land it, and I'm like really proud of myself. I'm like, hell yeah, you did it. And then I never think to like blueprint the shit. I never think to like compare like what's the what was different on stage? What was I doing differently that got me to land land the riff that time, or not land the riff the other time? And usually it comes down to me not fucking just planting my feet and playing my fucking instrument. It's about that energy, and so I'm like, there. I'm confused sometimes because I'm like, and I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here, but whenever are people are people still going to enjoy the music and the vibe and the energy if there's less physical energy? Like, I feel sometimes like I'm sacrificing my own wants and desires when it comes to how I want to play my instrument so that I can be entertaining or more rah 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 rah, for people. And so I feel like that's a big I don't know. I feel like if you're experiencing something like that as a musician or upcoming musician, or you're trying to find yourself, because uh, we're all still trying. I don't know if anybody's still not trying to find themselves in their art. I think it's constant in our lives. If we're an artist, we're trying to find something, and I'm just trying to. That's what that's what I'm trying to do here, especially with these little little talking to myself in the basement, kind of fucking chewing the fat with my shadow chat kind of fucking thing. Is I'm trying to. I feel like I did one other episode before this. Like I said, this is solo episode number 2. And I can't express to you how good it made me feel to do it, whether it's entertaining for you or not. And I feel like that's kind of countering the whole question today. It's because I almost don't care if you listen to this. I feel good putting this out there and talking through my own personal curiosities and qualms and mistakes and my quest for my musical identity. I feel good talking about it, and I feel because I hope there's other people. And I hope there's other people out there that feel the same way, or chime in the comments. I mean, I would love to hear what your thoughts on all this, because honestly, I feel like all of this is just me asking questions. I'm trying to figure this shit out, and I just it's like, is it because I was talking to somebody the other day about how there's a certain musician that I know that he doesn't. It's almost like he's seemingly in denial. And by that I mean, like, he is constantly changing. How do I put this? Like, he's like making these new. It's hard to explain. I'm sorry for the silence, but the music is kind of always the same, but he'll repackage it, and he won't. It's like you have to. There's this really fine line that you have to kind of like trapeze, like fucking tiptoe over. I feel like there's like a point where, in order for, and I've heard a lot of comedians talk about this too, but in order for you to be successful as an artist, I feel like there is a line that you have to draw and meet the audience in the middle. I feel like you can do whatever you want, obviously, and if that makes you happy and you don't care what other people think, that's fine. Like, you ultimately shouldn't care what other people think for the sake of your art. But there's like this point of like if you have to, you can't just be vulgar, or you can't just be, if something isn't working, blah 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 blah, consistently, and people aren't reciprocating the energy, they're not doing anything, blah 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 blah, over and over and over again, to the point where it's like insanity at that point. You should probably reassess what you're doing. And what I'm saying is I feel like there's a line that you have to meet. You have to meet the audience in the middle to be successful. And it's like, is that part of, do I need to sacrifice, or is it right to make that sacrifice? Like, should you make that sacrifice for the sake of others, to be entertaining? Or should you just dial it back, find that happy medium, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a point where you need to, I feel like if you're not doing enough to meet them, you got to bring it up. And it's like, I feel like I'm on the other side of that sometimes, where I'm all the way, or I'm meeting expectations, I guess, but I'm not meeting my own expectations. So it's like, I feel like sometimes I need to dial it back down, but I don't know. Yeah, please chime in, because I don't, I'm not quite sure about it, but yeah, so I think, yeah, so to answer that question for me, guys, is the sacrifice, what sacrifices are you making for the sake of entertainment, and do you feel like you should be making those sacrifices? Are you happy making those sacrifices? And I feel like if you're not happy making those sacrifices, maybe you need to sacrifice a little bit of the entertainment to make yourself happy, or to be better at your craft, or be better at your discipline, or whatever. But yeah, what's crazy is, and to change the subject harshly and very jaggedly, seen this crazy show, right? And I don't know if you guys have like Roku or whatever, but it's like we were searching, me and my fiance, we were talking about Mad TV. I don't know if you guys remember Mad TV. It had so many good people in it: Nicole Sullivan, Ari Spears, Artie Lang, Phil Lamar. Did I already see Bobby Lee? I may have already said Bobby Lee. Keegan-Michael Key was in it for a time. Nicole. There was a lot of... Alex Bornstein. I think her name's Mary Shear. She was Freddie's mom from iCarly, which I had no idea. I was like, why is she so funny in iCarly? And that's probably because she was a Mad TV alumni. But we were searching for it, and we couldn't find it. And there was even a Bobby Lee podcast where he was talking about where you can't really find it anywhere for some reason. And since it's not on any streaming services, but we have Roku TV, and we found this streaming service called Howdy, and it had Mad TV on it, and like all 14 or 15 seasons, however many there are. And so we found Mad TV, and so we've been watching a lot of Mad TV lately, and it's, I don't want to say just as funny, but it's just as absurd as it once was. And so we're getting a real big hoot out of that. But that's not the crazy thing. We were flipping through it, and one day Nichelle was like, I think I got home from something. I don't remember what it was, but I came home, and she was like, hey, there's this show called Fear Itself. on Howdy, and it was like a one season, one off little thing in like 2008, 2009, and it's a horror anthology series. And she was like it has Elizabeth Moss in it from A Handmaid's Tale and Invisible Man, and she's in you know who I'm talking about. Elizabeth Moss is a great actress, but she was in an episode, and then we realized, like, as we watched this show, like the first episode is about this like demon thing that these brothers, they're trying to find help for their friend, and so they march through the woods and they find this old fort, and they go in there, and it's ran by these three sisters and this preacher guy, and they're like taking care of them and stuff, blah blah blah. Come to find out, they're sacrificing these. Topic of the episode: sacrificing these. They're sacrificing people to. They're sacrificing people to this fucking vampire, fucking Jeepers Creepers ass fucking thing, right? But it has Jesse Plemons in it, which Jesse Plemons, he was in a lot of things. Jesse Plemons was in Breaking Bad. He was in why do I not know what Jesse Plemons was in? But it has. What I'm trying to say is this show is incredible. It got poor reviews, and it got canceled after one season. And actually didn't even get canceled after one season. There was 5 episodes that didn't even get aired because that's how low viewership was. And it's like, but you go back and you watch it and you're like, this is underrated as shit. There's so many A-listers in this show that you're like, that are like A-listers now, not then, but they're all little baby A-listers. But it was just incredible. Like Elizabeth Moss, her episode was crazy because it was about like a Creole, like a voodoo guy. He ate people, and it was fucking wild. And they had him, like, she was a cop, and they had him locked up in like a cell overnight, and she was tasked with keeping an eye on him. And so it was like, it was just wild to see that there's this show that was so underrated, had so many good actors and actresses in it, and it just went away. I don't know. Guys, I'm going to take a little break here. So, hang back for the rest of the episode. Please stand by. Sorry guys, we are back. I had to take a big fat piss. Yeah, sorry if that's too much information. I didn't really think that one through. But a lot of coffee, a lot of water, constantly. But yeah, I was talking about Fear itself and how there's a bunch of famous people now that were in that show, and it just went away. It just got whisked away into the ether. And it's sad to see a show or something so beautiful go away like that, just out of nowhere. But but as I was watching, obviously these streaming services, I'm a poor artist, living a comfortable but poor life, and what I'm getting at is we don't have. There's only a few streaming services that we have ad free, but this one obviously had ads. And so we're watching the show, and these ads start coming up, obviously, and I watch a lot of YouTube, and so obviously, if you're familiar with YouTube, you know that there's a lot of ads, unless you got YouTube Premium or YouTube Red or whatever they call it nowadays. I don't remember, but I realized that there was at one point they had an Uber Eats commercial, and the Uber Eats commercial was advertising, I believe it was Uber Eats, but they were advertising 90s like things that were good in the 90s, which were, like certain types of Lunchables and Bomb Pops and stuff like that, and they were playing like the soundtrack was wild. They had like Lynn. I was sitting on the porch. It was Sunday morning of last week, indulging in my self-defeat, or however the fuck that song goes. I don't know the lyrics, but that song always takes me back to my fucking front yard. I'm literally, it takes me back to laying in the grass on Sunday morning of last week. You know, but that's beside the point. They give you they tug at your little heartstrings now. They're like, and there's what sparked this too wasn't even the Uber Eats commercial. What sparked it for me was the Y2K Taco Bell commercial, which it was the same thing. It was like it was like Taco Bell from the 2000s, and they had this. I don't even remember what song was on the. What was on the commercial, but it was one of those songs that takes you. It's very like. What I'm trying to say is we're all running out of ideas. Everybody in the world is running out of ideas, I feel like, and all they're doing, it's like it's Hollywood is like this too. They're weaponizing nostalgia, and they're selling it the fuck back to us. Okay, so they're taking Lion King, and they're making a new Lion King. They're literally taking Lilo and Stitch, which Lilo and Stitch, it's like crazy fucking cartoon movie. I loved it, but now they're remaking it, and they're in live action, and it's the same movie, and they're just gonna give it right back to us. We're gonna go spend another $10 to go to the movie theaters and see it. We're gonna spend another $20 to buy it on DVD. We're gonna whatever. We're gonna rent it on fucking Amazon to you know what I mean? It's like we're just you're just repackaging it and giving it back to us. It's like, why can't we come up with any new ideas? Like, what's the issue, everybody? It's like, it's kind of that way with music too. For instance, it's like there's some things that there's some things that are just starting to sound all the same, and I'm not saying that Phantom Sam is anything crazy special or unique or whatever, but it's like there's certain genres of music that it's like no matter what you listen to within that genre, it almost sounds the same. Or how I was talking to Michelle about this the other day, about how and I kind of made a rash, very dramatic statement. I was like, lyrics are on the way out, and she was like, I don't know about that, and I was like, yeah, you're probably right. That was a little too dramatic. But you get these bands like Arc de Soleil and Khruangbin. I should have said that in the opposite order, but that's beside the point. Khruangbin, Glass Beams. You got the True Loves, Delvon Lamar Organ Trio. You got these bands that are on the rise that have no lyrics. They're just groove, and they're just groove bands. And what am I trying to say here? Basically, what I meant by the whole like lyrics are on the way out is I realized too, it's like there's only so many ways you can say I love you, or only so many ways you can say I'm angry at this thing. There's only so many words and you could also argue that there's even less notes and even less chords than there are words, but I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like there's way more. How do you say, like there's configurations. Like there's so many more. I feel like that's what's crazy about music. I feel like lyrically, yes, you can craft a good song, but you're conveying the same. You might be conveying the same vibe or the same feeling to somebody else as somebody else's song or something, or you might use the same words. I feel like it's more identifiable whenever you, like, not everybody knows music, so it's like nobody can be like, oh, he used G C D and so did that guy, and so did everybody under the fucking sun. Not everybody, not the average Joe. The average Joe can't identify that, but the average Joe can be like, oh, that guy said, baby, 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 I love you, and that guy said, I love you, baby, baby, baby. You know, I feel like it's more identifiable whenever it comes to lyrics, and I'm not trying to take anything from that, because I enjoy words, I enjoy writing lyrics and stuff too, but I feel like it's much more important musically. The music itself is what's important, and I feel like the lyrics are kind of the translation for the in order to relate to somebody easier, I guess. It's kind of like the it's kind of wild, but yeah, there's more configuration. There's less notes, less chords than there is of the English language, but I feel like there's more configurations and there's much more at work too, because you also got to think like you can move this note around to this note, or these two notes don't go together, they shouldn't touch, but you do it anyway, dissonance, and you can configure them in so many ways, like so many different ways that that can make sense no matter what to somebody, or the feelings or the intentions or the way you touch, the way you play that thing, you know, your instrument, your hands, your body, your expression. There's so many different ways I feel like you can manipulate sound or frequency or a string or a you know, a note or whatever than there is when it comes to words. I feel like I don't know. Maybe you do you agree or disagree? And if so, one of those, tell me why, because I'm just kind of like spewing. This is kind of word vomit. You know, I'm honestly just coming up with this little thing as I talk. That's why it's kind of a little broken and a little scatterbrained, but you know, that's what I'm here for. I feel like I'm here to explore constant state of exploration and healing. That's what I'm here doing. But yeah, man, they're just fucking weaponizing our nostalgic, weaponizing nostalgia and fucking blowing our brains out with it. But and so that I feel like that's something that we need to address, is come up with some new fucking ideas. Let's move forward. Why are we going backwards, reselling it back? Wait, 10 years from now, they're gonna be taking fucking what's going on now, and they're gonna be selling it back to us. And I guess everything is, time is cyclical. Everything is like that, and it always has been. But man, I like the idea of moving forward constantly, you know. But that's just me. I might be a lunatic. I'm not sure, but you know, let me know in the comments. But I am here, and you know what? I actually, in this episode, I only wanted to film this episode. The only real reason why I came here today, to sit in this chair with this cup of coffee, my magic jam cauldron, and my guitar, and this sign and everything, the only reason I came here today was to deliver the message. Speaking of nostalgia, hose water still slaps. I will repeat, hose water, meaning water from the spigot, from the outside of the house, drinking it out of a hose, still slaps. Somebody the other day told me, have you drank hose water recently? I said, no, I have not. And they're like, it's fucking gross and it's fucking weird. I said, challenge accepted. And I drank some hose water. Guess what? We just had a couple of shows, a weekend of shows, and you know what I did? I have a 4-gallon jug and a 3-gallon jug in my van, filled it up with hose water. None other than hose water did I do in my van with the jugs in the water that I will drink and make coffee with hose water from now on. I don't care how unhealthy it is. It's delicious. And guess what? You can't sell that back to me. America, Hollywood, whatever. You can't sell me hose water. Next thing I know, I'm going to fucking pull up my phone and go onto Facebook, and then there's going to be an ad for bottled hose water. I feel like maybe... Dude, that'd be kind of a crazy idea. Bottled hose water. Dude, market that. No, that goes against everything I've just been saying, but dude, bottled hose water. I feel like I should move on before I get too in depth into this, because that's kind of like Nestle and their whole like debacle, I guess, with their recycled water, or just whatever. I forgot what Nestle did, but that's beside the point. But just selling hose water, that's the next lucrative business. I feel like that's what Uber Eats needs to start doing. Is next thing, get a commercial, play Lou Bega's fucking Mambo Number 5 to a commercial for hose water. And it could be great. There could be these kids, they're on the slip and slide, and they're like, oh, haha, we're all laughing and having fun and spraying each other with the hose. And then like, whoa, you remember how we're all thirsty? Let's drink this hose water that we're spraying each other with, or whatever. That was a really terrible premise to a fucking commercial, dude. Man. Fucking ruined it. Anyways, music genres are kind of crazy. I was sitting there the other day, and I was listening to some African music, right? And I was sitting there, and I was like, normally you kind of like bob your head a little bit, or you tap your toe or whatever. I found myself involuntarily kind of like moving my hips, kind of like in like a Latin way, like I was like Shakira. My hips were not, my hips were being very truthful, I might say. Or one could say my hips weren't lying, or my hips don't lie. Shakira reference, goddammit. Anyways, I was moving my hips, and I was like, man, what is this? What is it about this music that made me want to do that? I never moved like that, but it felt good. It felt nice and not sexual in a sexual way. It felt very like sexy. I was like, ooh, I not saying I am or was, but I felt good about it. Okay, and then I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, why does like heavy funk music make me want to bob my head a little bit, or like peck my neck, and then like jazz is like a finger wag kind of thing. Like I was just like a sway and a swing, or like you do kind of a thing, and I was like, there's something about, and if you're familiar with somatics, and how like people will take like a plate of sand, and they'll shoot it with a fucking certain vibration or frequency of vibration, and it'll make complex geometric shapes. What about music? What about music makes us move a certain way? I know that this is kind of a long shot, little stretch, but I was thinking about this the other day, and it's like, because the reasoning is because I was watching, or I was moving my hips to some African music, and I was wondering, man, why am I doing this? Not in a bad way, just why am I doing this? And so I was watching, and I like African music. I like tribal music, like Afrobeat and high life music and things like that. And so I was looking up some music online, and there was like these little boys in the tribe in the um, um, like in a village in Ghana, and they're like all playing these instruments, and they're like having fun and stuff. But all the people that were dancing were kind of doing this like upper body was like almost still, and the legs were planted, and they were just moving their hips, and I was like, man, that's exactly what I was doing. And so I'm kind of like thinking about it, and I'm like, does every genre of music have some sort of like somatic principle to it, to where it induces an involuntary series of movements? Like, you have somebody that's playing like it's kind of like the stank face that you give whenever somebody's like playing like a mean riff or like a mean fucking bass line or something like that. It's kind of like this a universal movement that every genre of music kind of has, and I've been thinking about it, and I haven't got that in depth to it, so I will revisit it probably in another episode. But I was like, man, is this like that African rhythm? It has this something like Latin rhythm, or is it in the rhythm? Is it in the genre? Is it even in the genre? It could be in because you know this that I was listening to music of Ghana, and but you got to think, as even though I made the terrible joke about Shakira, it's like it's a Latin vibe, but their their rhythms are very derivative of each other. So it's like, is it in the rhythm or is it in the genre? Sorry for the silence. I'm humming. I'm thinking. But yeah, let me know about that one, guys. If you explore that with me, it's like, what would punk be? Like a. Dun, 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 dun. I don't even fucking know. That's what it makes me do. That's stupid. Or I think it has to be in the. It has to be in the rhythm. I think. I don't know, but what? Something primal, something crazy. It came out of the fucking earth. I don't know what it did. It's since the dawning of fucking time. I feel like there's something crazy about music, and it does some weird shit to our bodies. And I don't know. That's crazy. Speaking of straight from the earth too, seen this thing, and it was I forgot what it was. It was like a video, and it was talking about like ancient history and stuff. And there's these giant plateaus. There's like 6 or 8 of them or something around the world that were, they think they were these massive giant trees that were cut down, and they were like massive trees, like something from fucking Zelda or something. Like it was like a sky bigger than a skyscraper, like super tree, fucking mountain-sized tree. And I was thinking about it, and not only would that be insane and kind of scary to look at, because skyscrapers are terrifying enough, and like what kind of fucking animals would live in there? There'd be just like just full, like a whole like monkey, like fucking metropolis, monkey metropolis, band name. This tree, it'd be insane. It'd be like this huge network of life. Oh man, that'd be crazy. But so what got me thinking is for one, why the fuck did they chop all these trees down if they're like, because you got to think about how much oxygen that would probably fucking bring the planet. Not to be all tree huggery about it, but that would be crazy. And then, but I had this thought about it, and it's like, now we're all familiar with wood petrifying, petrified wood, meaning a fucking piece of wood turns into a rock somehow. Not a scientist, don't know how it happens, but it happens, right? How many mountains out there, and this is going to sound stupid, maybe, but as they say, there's no stupid questions, only stupid answers. So, I don't know who said that, but I hope that's what they say. Anyways, how many mountains do you think out there are actually, if these mystical, massive, monkey metropolis fucking trees, if they existed, how many mountains out there are actually petrified tree stumps? That's a question for you guys. How many of those are just fucking tree stumps petrified over time or something? Or I know a lot of mountains are volcanoes or volcanic or whatnot, but it's like, you know, what about it? What are the odds, for one? That's just a weird thought to me. Yeah, and if you're a scientist out there, tell me how wood gets petrified, because that'll help me in my, I feel like I should have done a little bit of research on that. Like, I could have just Googled that shit, but, if I would have Googled it and I would have had all the information, then why would I be fucking asking? Why would I be sitting here, bullshitting about it? How else would I just sit here and just give you a bunch of dead air? If I wouldn't be giving you any of the dead air that you really enjoy most about the show, if I had all the fucking facts, right? I'm just totally bombing this episode. Anyways, guys, but petrified mountains, monkey metropolis, it's fun times. But before I wrap up this episode, I do want to say that we just got back from 2 festivals. We had Hicks and the Sticks, which was in Summersville at Captain Jack's campground, and big shout out to the people that put that on, and Sean Price for doing sound, and Levi for doing his thing, and then what was it? Oh, Hill House. He was the host of the show, and he was very kind and accommodating to us. And but we after that show, we played that show, and then we left. We had Girthapalooza 2025, which is the last episode. I'm not going to get too into Girthapalooza because I did a whole episode, and it should have come out last week. We'll see. But yeah, this should be coming out after the Girthapalooza episode, so you should have already seen a bunch of really talented band sets and little interviews with them and whatnot, and it was a very special episode, and we had a really good time. But one person I didn't interview, and I wanted to bring this up because it was a very humbling moment and a humbling thought to see somebody say the things that they did and react the way that they did. But there was a band there, and I don't want to. I'm not going to say any names, but if you put 2 and 2 together for yourself, that's great. Do it, because there's no ill will here. I just don't feel like it's my place to say certain names telling this story, and I hope you understand why. But there was a band there that they got they got a new drummer, and since the last time I seen them, and but just so happens that the drummer beforehand, the drummer that was drumming for them the last time I seen them, he actually showed up to support them and support the bands and just hang out and whatnot. And being a fucking stand-up guy, for one. Just being a good support local, support live, support Girthapalooza and Rob Wilson and all that. But he showed up to and we were all like enthralled by this new drummer, right? This band, and obviously, and no shade thrown at all, but this band has never sounded better than this time. This was the best they've ever sounded. And we're sitting there and we're watching this new drummer with the old drummer, and I look over at him, and I didn't make any like facial expression, but he looks at me and he just like with the lip of approval, like the fucking, almost like Robert De Niro, like, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, so he's digging it. And I will say, too, and I'm not going to get into it but he mentioned to me that it was not a very amicable parting between him and the band, the old drummer and the band. They're cool now, obviously, because he was there, but the departure from the band was a tad messy as far as what he told me. But we're not going to get into that because this is a positive fucking show, and it's not my fucking business. But my point being is he gave a sign of approval to this new drummer, right? Because this new drummer was a monster. He's a very, very talented drummer, right? And their vibe and their music style is not my cup of tea, but I can see the hard work and effort that it takes and that goes into just being a band and making music and performing music, and so I respect all musicians, like, for what they do, and but he's just a monster drummer, right? And they start in between songs, it gets a little quiet so we can hear, and he even said they've never sounded better, and I was like, that's kind of, you don't ever really expect somebody that was, your position was filled and is approving of this new guy. Usually people can be bitter, especially if it wasn't an amicable thing. Like, but what I'm saying is because I feel like I'm just kind of drawing this out and I need to get straight to the point, but the things he said about the new drummer, I have mad respect for this old drummer now. And it made me really think about my standing as a musician, because he made that humble judgment that he was like, there was just things that they wanted me to do on the drums that I couldn't, and that guy can do all of them and can do them flawlessly. And that was just like, that gave me goosebumps for some reason, just because there's a lot of ego in music, and he could very easily be like, fuck this guy, blah 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 blah, and just be completely in denial about the whole situation. But that's true musicianship, that's true. To being a human fucking being is to admit something like that. To admit that somebody can do something that you can't. Or, do something better. Or if you admit that, if you admit your wrongdoings or your shortcomings or your weaknesses or flaws, or you just admit that, and this is more so what he admitted to, was we were talking about it, and I was like, but you are, and I was talking to the old drummer. I was saying, but you are a great drummer. It's just you guys have a different vocabulary. You have a different, when it comes to your beats, you have a different style. You have a different vibe. Just like everybody has a different vibe. And just talking to him about it made me think about everything too. And it's like, we all do have the same fucking 11, 12 notes if you count the octave. We all do have toms and snares and kick drums and, and all different configurations, and we all touch it differently. We all attack the instrument in a different way. And it doesn't mean that guy was better than him. It just means he was better in that application. He had the vocabulary or the vernacular to accomplish what that band needed. And now old drummer feels better about his life because now he is doing his own thing at his own speed with his own vibe and his own style. And it's just incredible to see somebody admit that, because I have such a hard time comparing myself to others and wishing that you envy people, and envy is not a fun thing to is not a fun feeling to feel. I mean, you can have idols, and I don't want to say idols, but you know what I mean. You can have influences, but it's like you should always strive to be yourself and be your unique self. No matter how unique it is, you should always just want to be yourself and to play for you, and find a way to do your own thing in your own way, and not fucking give a shit about how other people do it. Because you could be similar to I could play similarly to another guitar player, or another drummer could play similarly to another drummer, or you know what I mean. But it's like and it was another thing that Les Claypool said, was that it's how you attack your instrument. It's not about what you're fucking playing. It's about how you're playing it. And yeah, everybody has a different way of doing things, tone in their voice and cadence. It's just we got to stop caring about comparisons, yeah, guys, I think that's a good stopping point here, because now I'm starting to spiral. So guys, this has been another episode of Art of the Jam. I will go ahead and as normal, the mantra of the show, we are going to live with cause, and we are going to leave results to the great law of the universe. We are going to pass each and every day in peaceful contemplation, patient, and all the while remaining present in our lives. So, after this episode, go out and touch some grass, kiss a tree, hug a tree, lay in the grass, roll in the grass. It's raining, so it might be a little wet and uncomfortable and maybe a little muddy, but kiss your dog, pet your wife, all sorts of those, any and every one of those fun things that you feel so inclined to do. Guys, by the end of the year, I want to get to 333 subscribers, so please hit the subscribe button and tell all your friends. Let's get them in on this. Let's have fun. I hope you enjoyed episode number 109. I know it's a little painful for you guys. It might be a little painful for you guys to sit here and listen to me talk to myself in my basement, but it really helps me to just sit here and spew words, and I honestly, if you don't feel like listening to these episodes, you don't have to. I just it helps me a lot. It helps me feel better. Um, but guys, thank you for listening. This has been, without further ado, I just brought to you Art of the Jam.